What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of the Fielder's Choice podcast. I am Dan Field. To my all the way to the left, we got Matt Giblin, and in the middle, we've got Miss Angie Santamaro, and we
Benny.
got Benny in the background. Angie's dog.
Sorry about that. Let me go get him out of here. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys.
Benny just wanted to be on the podcast so badly, he just couldn't help himself. While we wait for
Benny and Miss
the Jets. Yeah, I always think of that song every time I say his name. Benny and
He was sleeping at my feet, being such a good boy that I didn't think anything of it. And well,
that's funny.
Zach
of course
just got home from his 28-plus game, so.
Oh, Jesus, Zach.
Yeah.
So, what is up, guys? I can't believe it's been a week already since our Mother's Day episode.
And here we are.
We are just flying by. I don't know about you guys, but I've had games every day. We are definitely in the heart of the season.
Doubleheaders.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Yes, it has.
3 games today. I know you guys had a couple games. I had 4 yesterday. It's the umpire life is
It's
not
a busy
an easy
one.
life, isn't? Yeah. So Ange, you had quite the game today. Why don't you tell us what happened?
So I feel like I need to be as dramatic about this as it was in person. So I'm just going to set the stage. As the top of the 5th inning, 11U, second game of a doubleheader. A kid just hit a grand slam. So so the field was kind of already having all sorts of feelings. So pitcher, kind of just like looks a little bummed out, but he's going for it. He winds up. Upon release, I can tell it's going to be like a high fastball. All of a sudden, out of the left side of my vision, I see something coming, and I scream, "What the fuck?" And he Randy Johnsoned a sparrow right in front of me. Nobody knew what happened. Everybody freaked out.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yes.
One of these. That's crazy.
So
That's
it was
crazy.
not as like explosive as that. However, it was like, so the ball came and it just went thud, and they both just fell to the ground at the same time. And nobody knew what happened. Everybody came running over. I'm at the backstop, just holding the vomit in my mouth. Also feeling a little sad for the sparrow, right? R.I.P. Sparrow.
What are the chances?
The coach turns around and just kind of, does one of these. And then finally a kid screams out, "Was that a ball or a strike?" And
yes.
so, I've never asked this question before. I don't
think that's in the rule book.
If a ball doesn't make it to the plate, right? Okay, so illegal pitch. But this would have made it to the plate, so I called no pitch.
Yeah.
We cleaned it up, and we just started.
So, no offense, but 11U, they don't throw very hard. But apparently, this kid threw it hard enough to kill this bird. So did you guys clean him up off the field, or was he still laying? Is he still laying there?
Just was laying on the ground, feet up in the air.
And did you continue to play the game with the bird?
So no,
he was just done.
It twitched a little bit, and then it was not. I know, that's why I was like. But one of the coaches from the other teams just grabbed the rake and picked him up and walked him out. But I think we were all just.
What else are you gonna
We will
do?
never see that ever again. Well, I mean that too, but we will never see that ever again.
That's what we thought after Randy Johnson did it, and that's wild. That's crazy.
That kid should go buy a lottery ticket, but
Yeah,
not
I was
the
gonna
bird.
say, is this a good omen? Is this a bad thing? Right?
Well, if the guts got all over you, I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But they say if a bird shits on you, it's supposed to be good luck. But I think they just say that to make you feel better about the fact that a bird just shit on you. But
yeah,
that's just me.
Yeah, I'm gonna just keep in the back of my head that maybe it was just stunned. I think it was dead. It was dead. It died.
I
It was
hope
dead.
so.
Yeah.
I mean,
So what was the ruling? No pitch? Pitch again?
No pitch. Yeah, no pitch.
Yeah.
Was it going to be a strike?
And I think it was high. It was a high fastball. I think it was going to be a ball, but
so pitcher made out.
Pitcher made out, but
Yeah.
but the bird didn't.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that is brutal.
So I did, of course, what I immediately do after shit like that. I called Carl.
Of course.
I also texted Walter and said, so a kid just Randy Johnsoned a bird. I proceeded to vomit in my mouth, but I had to tell you about it. And he replied, baseball emoji, turkey emoji, thumbs up.
Oh my god.
I don't know what it means, but Walter, if you're watching, I wasn't about to eat the bird.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Wild, yeah.
Were the kids horrified or?
No, I think they were all
bet
kind of like, God, yeah, this is so cool. And
Yeah, it's about right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Especially mostly boys, right? Like, yeah, wow.
yeah.
That's crazy. But in other news, we got a couple more leagues starting up this week. I know the Hockey League starts tonight. A few games going on over there. Cranberry League starts on Tuesday. So we are definitely getting to the heart of the season. The BMBL is going strong. We've had a bunch of games already, few rainouts. I did 3 18-plus games today for the BMBL. So yeah, we are going strong, and we are looking forward to our guest today, the president of the BMBL, Boston Metro Baseball League, Jeff Coveney, since 2014. So he's in his 12th, 13th season as the president. I'm not sure if he's playing anymore. We're gonna ask him in a little bit.
We're going to find out.
Yes,
Good.
we are. You guys have any more games coming up this week? I'm sure you do, right?
Yeah, I think I have a game on Friday and maybe Thursday. Schools are wrapping up right now. So
Yeah,
I think,
so they're
and
in
with
the
all the
playoff,
rainouts, they're, trying to get them all in.
Yep.
And today
Playoffs
there was a
also,
ton of doubleheaders.
Yeah, high school. It's the last week of the regular season this week. A lot of teams wrapping up. I know. I had probably about 3 or 4 high school games this past weekend myself. So I got one tomorrow. Where am I tomorrow? Maybe Bedford High. Cool.
Medford qualified for the state tourney. Malden.
Our boy Raz.
Orazio, yep. I umped their game, Medford-Malden. Medford pulled out the win against Malden. It was just their second loss, I think, Steve Frecker. And I think Mystic Valley, I saw Mike Powers posted that his son's team qualified for the state tourney as well. So that should be...
Congrats, they're all down.
Apparently
cool.
there was some huge upsets in the ISL, though, right? So Sebastian's was out, Nobles, and Roxbury Latin, I think, for the top 3 seeded. They're all out.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll get any of those games since we're all still new, but you guys know how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You go where you're assigned, D.
Go where you're assigned. Yeah, so me and Angie were like the field next to each other. So I stopped by after my first game. She was already on her second game. She was like, yeah, Mercy Rule game was over in like an hour.
An hour,
yeah,
right?
Jesus. You're
There you
into
go.
game 2?
Yeah, that was on Saturday, yeah.
Wow, yeah. And
It's nice when those games move along. Otherwise, they tend to drag on.
especially the younger kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I always find it to be absolutely amazing when you can get a young team that has an arm. Or 2.
Yes. Or
I mean,
just throw strikes. Someone that just
Yeah.
a kid that just throws strikes. Like
Mhm.
yes, please just throw strikes.
Makes all the difference in the world, right?
Oh.
It
all
sure
of it.
does.
Yeah.
It sure does. But enough about us. We got to get to our special guest, Mr. Jeff Coveney. Are we ready to bring in
We're
our
ready.
special guest?
Absolutely. Let's
All
go.
right, let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Jeff Coveney.
Hey, Cole.
This is fantastic. You didn't ask me what my walk-up music was, but I'll take that. That was excellent.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
You just gave us an idea.
Yeah. So, but before we even go, I was listening while you guys were chatting and gabbing. Angie, what is going on with the bird thing? So you had the call, you made the call, no pitch. I mean, because that never ever happens. But what should that call be? Is it a no pitch? Is it in the rule book?
Oh yeah. What did Carl have to say?
Carl said he would have called a no pitch as well.
No pitch. Yeah. I mean,
it would have been an illegal pitch if the pitcher threw and it just didn't make it to the plate, right? So he would have got rung up on that. But
what they called it with Randy Johnson back in 20 years ago.
I mean, I guess it's got to be the Randy Johnson rule now, right? Well, that happened at a spring training game too, so I don't know that they had actually talked about it further in the rule book. We have to find out.
There is an obscure rule out there where if the pitcher drops the ball and it doesn't make it to home plate, but it has something to do if it crosses one of the baselines, then it can technically be called a pitch.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's a balk.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, in this case, though, there was nobody on base because there had just been a grand slam, and it was the first pitch and not his fault. Avian obstruction? I don't know.
Obstruction.
What would you bet to ever see it again?
Never.
Like I said, they probably said that when Randy Johnson did it. It's too bad you don't have it on video.
Well, I looked on Game Changer, but you have to pay for it, and I didn't want to pay for it. So it's probably on Game Changer. It was the top of the 5th inning today.
So was there a camera behind you filming?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
We got to look that
up. So we
up.
might have to find it. Yeah, it was.
We definitely have to find it.
The Middlesex Reds, top of the 5th inning. So because I think I texted you guys right after it happened, so it might have been 12:15 or 12:20 around then when it happened.
So I had the Middlesex Reds. By the way, they have 18 different teams, starting from 8U all the way up to 14U. And they had a doubleheader yesterday, and was this a doubleheader today too?
Yes.
It's crazy. I talked to the coaches, the parents. For an 8U kid to have back-to-back doubleheaders Saturday and Sunday is absolutely insane. These kids can barely pay attention for one game. Never mind 4 games in 2 days. It's crazy.
Yeah, but what they have, Dan, on the side is youth, right? They're not pulling hamstrings left and right, and they get some of that young energy.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually umped Cutter's game today. And there was a collision between the pitcher and the catcher, and it was you could hear the boom, and catcher got right up. Come to find out, he was 18 years old. I'm like, well, that would explain why you're able to bounce right back up and do your thing. I'm like, I could literally be your father. That's crazy. Crazy.
And you also know that if you took the same kind of hit, you'd be done for the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, these kids have no idea what's coming.
What is it? Youth is wasted on the young. Isn't that the saying?
Something like that. But anyway, Cov, please.
Back to Cov.
Tell us about yourself. Those who may not know you.
Sure. So, Jeff Coveney. I'm currently the president of the BMBL. That's evolved over the years. I first started with the league. I think it was back in 1997, 98, and I was on the hated Yankees. I don't know how a Yankees team ended up in a Boston area league, but it did, and I ended up playing there. I had to get the Yankees jersey. It was very hard to do that as a Red Sox fan, and but that was how I started playing in this league. But before that, I played I played throughout my life, and I played at Clark University out in Worcester. Played 4 years there, and then when I graduated, I just thought baseball was done, and it was done for me for 5 or 6 years, and then I had run into a past teammate of mine. I ran into him golfing. He's like, "Hey, you want to play baseball?" I'm like, all right, I'll come down. And then I came down, and that was it. I got hooked again, and started playing, and played a lot, coached a lot, and today I'm more running the league as opposed to being involved in the day-to-day with playing and managing. But it's just been great to be with just like-minded folks for years, and being able to play with you guys, against you guys, and Angie, we haven't played against one another, but
come to the 100-inning game.
Come to the 100-inning game.
So we hear from a lot of players in the BMBL, that they thought their career was over, right? And then somebody said something through word of mouth, and then they're playing again. So are you officially retired from playing now, or do you ever get onto the field?
So last year was the first year that I finally handed over the team, the day-to-day managing of the team that I had run since 1999 or 2000, which was the Yankees, and then it turned into the Cutters, and it was time. It was well past time. It was for the 18+ division, and I'm no longer 18+.
Well, you are, but
I am. We're all 18+.
Plus.
So last year, I stepped back, and I played a little bit last year, but not too much. So I wouldn't say I'm officially retired now. I am not on a team right now, but I am certainly willing to pitch in when needed on call for any teams that need anybody to come in when they're low on players. But a lot of the times, my weekends now are spent in other places, so trying to dedicate the weekends to playing baseball is just I've done that for years and years and years, so that I kind of want to move on.
Mm-hmm.
I've moved on to doing other things on the weekends, a lot of family stuff.
So teams, you heard it. If you need a fresh 50-year-old, he's available.
And he can still
you can still hit. You did play in the winter ball game, right? You dressed as Santa Claus.
Yeah, that was hard to hit on that day.
Yeah.
Dressed as Santa Claus is not a recipe for success hitting a baseball.
Yeah, it's tough.
Or throwing. I played one winter ball game, and it was not good.
Yeah, no, but it was good because I did play last year, whereas in the past probably 5 to plus years I'd been more managing, playing here and there. But last year was more like focusing on playing when I did go and play, and realizing that I can still swing a bat, so that was good. Realizing I still can't run, I never really could run, but still can hit a little bit.
Well, the good news about the older leagues is that you can have a courtesy runner, as you know. So there's always that.
Cov, you mentioned, you coached the Yankees and the Cutters for over almost 20 years. As Danny and I can testify, we both took our times, managing the Tigers and now the Metro Red Sox. Managing is a thankless task. Like, what kept you motivated to do it for at least as long as you did? Because it's certainly not easy, and you put together some very good teams over the years, man.
Yeah, it's something that I've really enjoyed doing over the course of time, and it definitely evolved. It definitely was something that evolved. So back in the early days, I was playing full time and doing really well playing, and then managing. So that wasn't as difficult for me to do it because I knew that I was where I was myself as a player, and then where I was as a manager, and as you mentioned, put together some really good teams, and fortunate. We just had some really great players, and I was very motivated to have that. It was experience success both as a player and as a manager, and that was great. And then I think that evolved as I got more into my 30s and 40s, and still with the 18+, by the way, right? So noticed I wasn't necessarily on the top level of the playing anymore, right? So now I had to start making decisions to not play myself and let others. And then I start to evolve the mentality more to not me succeeding, but others, watching others succeed. So I would take pleasure from seeing other players grow and watching them fail, because we all fail at baseball. You're failing a lot, and trying to encourage them so that they would do better, and seeing that growth over time. So then I slowly grew into more of a manager and coach, as opposed to just playing. So the motivations changed a little bit because I saw people doing well, and I loved seeing the ingredients that you could pull together a team, and working with others too, because it wasn't just me. I love a team approach. And that's what really motivated me was seeing the guys come together and play baseball. Sometimes we won, sometimes we didn't, but everybody has a good time doing that. And then sometimes you get the games right where you're like, all right, it's 1-0, and it's the time to let's do a hit and run, and you do the hit and run, and then it works, and then the guys, someone's going to tag up, and you make all the plays, and all the strategic moves, and it worked.
Sure.
And you think, oh, that worked pretty well. I'm smart. And then the next game, the exact opposite happens, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
You guys can attest to that. You guys have been,
one of the hardest things.
Not with the championships, but
you had way more success than we did. Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think that would have helped in the long run, certainly. But the hardest thing for me was playing and then keeping my mind occupied or focused on, okay, how am I going to get this guy in, and how am I going to get so-and-so in at bat later in the game, and how long has Zach pitched, and so that all those things kind of wore at me at the same time, where I'm trying to play shortstop and at least help my team win too. So it was a little different, sure. Danny has done a much more admirable job, I think, than I did.
Well, I mean, it's a tough job no matter who you are. But it really is a different kind of appreciation when you win as a coach for some reason, as it is a player. Just knowing you put like those pieces together, like you said, and just winning as a coach, that's just a different feeling of you put all that work in, practices and getting the roster together, and winning is just a different feeling. And you've got to experience 6 championships in your run, one of which I do not want to talk about in 2007. That was a hell of a series, by the way. We choked. But is there any of those 6 titles that stands out more than the other?
I've been fortunate again to play with some, play and manage with some just great players. And I can think, I think of it as like, it very much kind of parallels what happened with the Patriots, where there was early success and bang, bang, bang with some championships, a little bit of a gap, and then 3 more championships. So it was kind of like two eras. One was the Yankees era, and one was the Cutters era. And I think one of the championships, there's 2 that stick out to me. One is the first one. I think it's always the first one, like when you're finally going to win.
Yes.
When I was in college, we weren't all that great of a college team. We certainly didn't go to any college playoffs. So didn't experience as much winning there. Did when I was younger as playing Legion and Babe Ruth ball. But hadn't really experienced the win, and I was so. I remember I was playing third base. It was against the Pirates, and it was like the fifth inning, and we were winning, and they were favored to win the championship. And I remember we were up, and it was like, oh my God, we're gonna win this game. We're gonna win a championship, and it was so exciting. It just like the emotions just came over me, and I had to hold it together while playing third base, and then we won. So it was that first time, and then it might have been one of the last championships with the Cutters. And Dan, you were talking about really putting a team together and seeing all the ingredients come together, and we just had so much excellence on that particular team with guys like Tony Ramos, and we had We had, Bucciarelli, John Costas, and we just had Santa Suazo was on that team, like just crazy talent that was on that team. And, that year, I think that was that's a year I really kind of transitioned from being a player to a manager. I said that's the last year I was more a player than a manager, but I had to not play so I could play other people. We just had so much talent. And we lost. Somebody got hurt, and then I ended up playing in the playoffs. And I remember being able to contribute and contributing as a player and as a manager, and that was really the last time I remember that happening. At that level, so that was pretty special too. But any time that you win a championship is so exciting. Like that there's nothing like that championship feel when that ball gets thrown, and then when somebody fields the ball to make the last out, or somebody strikes out, whatever that is. That feeling right there, that 20 seconds of championship feel is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that feeling. I'm not very familiar.
You won the championship?
Not in the BMBL. In the Babel this past season in the 45 plus. Gibbs won a few with the Spartans.
Yeah, it took a long time to get there, certainly. Yeah. But
no, I mean,
that 20 seconds you talk about, Cub. There's nothing like it.
Gib and I were just talking about our series in 2007. Some great moments.
I still lose sleep over some of those. I can close my eyes and vividly see some of the plays.
I got a message from. I got a message from Rich Ladarchik, one of our top pitchers, last year, and he brought up the fact that he was like, "I'm sorry, I pitched that game. I pitched like shit." I'm like, "Dude, that was 15 years ago." He's like, "I know. I just started thinking about it and I got depressed." It's like, wow.
The baseball memories are real. They're real and they're strong. And I think it's why, right, we all try to stay in the game somehow, in any way, if we really love it. But I couldn't ask for a better segue. That leads me to our kind of next question. What inspired you to take on the role of president of the BMBL, which you've been president of since 2014, right? And what was that?
That's a long time.
I've always long time.
Yeah.
I've always liked to organize and help. No matter what it is, whether or not it's in business or it's, with baseball or organizing trips for my family, I love to kind of bring together the organizational nature and see where things are working and where they're not, and try to build improvement. Santopio. Yes, I remember that was a tough year when you joined that first year with the Cutters. But I'm glad you're still playing, bud. So just, in thinking about how to make things better. And then there were some changes. Whoever was running it before was stepping away. And we had a meeting, as a league, with some of the different players that have been involved and committed to the league over time. And there are numerous folks that were interested in helping the league move forward, not just having a single person that's leading. And we formed a board. I just happened to be the president of the league, but it's not just me. I'm more of the person that's kind of looking around to see how things are going across all the divisions, and then we have our commissioners that are running each and every division, because this is all it's all volunteer. There's no this is not a paid gig, right? We all do it for the love of working with one another and seeing the league move forward. So, I ended up becoming the president, but it really became more of a group board, and that's how we've structured it, and it's still structured like that to this day, where we have a president, just like a company, and then you have different divisions, which you have the commissioners of the 18 plus, the 28 plus, the 28 plus Metro West, the Masters division, and then we also have Kyle Brendenstein. He's in charge of finance, Mr. Dan Field is on the board. He's doing everything from making our website look awesome to some of the great content with the video and audio coverage of different games. So it's a team approach, and that's worked well for us.
So just a quick question. So there wasn't a board prior? There was just a president, and then you kind of took over as president and then developed the board? Is that right? Or did I miss something?
No, you are right. There was one.
Oh, wow.
There was one president. I don't know how is Kevin Riley. Before him was Steve Wolf, and they were really just running, running the league, everything on their own, which is so much work for a single person to be able to do. And but they would have different people would be kind of in charge of the 18 plus and the 30. So they were kind of leaders, but not official. So when our management team, our leadership team took over back in the mid 2014, 2015, the concept was, let's do this as a team, divide and conquer, because we can't do it. We can't do it all.
Right. It would seem like it would be big. That's why I was so surprised when you said that, because the league has been around for a while. So to have one person run everything, smart move.
Well, it wasn't. I wouldn't say he was running everything. He would,
overseeing maybe.
Running, and then there were like the commissioners, but it wasn't as official as it is now. Now it's like we have different leaders. Brett Rudy's, he's handling the 18 plus, and we just get different folks doing the different divisions.
And for it to be running as well as it has for all these years, you guys are doing a great job and are doing good things. Got to be doing something right for this thing to work for as long as it has. And it kind of leads into a question that I got for you too. Like, what do you think some of the biggest challenges like our league is facing these days? Or on top of that too, like, what do you think is like the biggest job that you have that like the everyday like us ball players don't see?
Sure. I think, when we think about our league, there's always lots of changes that we could make and try to pivot and do things. And, certainly we want to take those into consideration. Like, we've been on 400 hitter forever, right? Like, it's been awesome for keeping track of our stats. How do we take that to the next, do we take that to the next level or not? That's a hard decision to kind of work through, because change management is hard in any place. So I've always taken the strategy is trying to just remain as consistent as possible to keep, like a train, a freight train moves fast. It moves fast by moving at a consistent pace. So that pace is consistent. So we're not necessarily going to do something crazy and flashy, but over time we add in more things. We add in different tournaments. We don't try to do everything all at once, because we'll burn ourselves out as a leadership team and as a league. And people know that our vision as a league is to help players play from the time that they are out of high school, or really like once they get into that, when they start working and they want to start to be able to play baseball and do that till like whenever they don't want to do that anymore. It's not going to be the most highly competitive league, although we are a competitive league. It's not a college league. We get different great leagues in our city that take care of that. That's not where we are. So we also know where we do well and where where we don't play.
Right.
But it sounds like sustainability is the name of the game here.
Yeah, and there have been different leagues that have come in, and they haven't, they last a little bit of time, and then they don't continue on. But it's it's a testament of really all the players being committed to the league, and all the managers being committed and bought into our process, and the leadership team. So you can't have a great league without all of that, with everyone being part of that whole league and brand and team.
Right.
So I think challenges, just get back to the challenge question, Matt. I I think one of the challenges that we face, and this isn't just our league, it's other leagues, is time commitments. There's just so many things for the younger players to do. So where do they go? What do they? I can remember back when back in the early days, right? To sound like my dad talking, right?
Did you walk uphill both ways?
Yeah. Players would come and they'd play and they'd be totally dedicated to playing. And if there's vacations, they're not going, you're not moving games. Like there weren't as many other things to do. And now there's so many other things to do. Younger players are you're competing for their time. You're competing for their time, with baseball. I mean, do you guys see that also on the, you guys are upping the high school games too, right? Are you guys seeing that at the high school level?
No, I'm not seeing it so much. I think they're all scheduled.
And I was going to say yes and no. I think there's a clear difference in high school. I think there are some of the leagues that were once pretty dominant, say for instance the GBL, when I was growing up, when I was in high school, used to be a pretty dominant league. You could see how much of the talent is no longer kind of there anymore. It's kind of shifted to the Catholic Conference and those big time private schools, which is understandable. As far as like AAU ball, I don't know, because like we were talking about earlier, there's so many games and they start at such a young age that I don't know if they're getting quite burned out. My question for you too, on Cov, with that was like, what's that? I've done 218 plus. We've 218 plus games, and I thought the talent on the teams that were there was fantastic. But overall, like, is the talent coming to the 18s now, like it once was?
I think it's always been very similar in terms of the talent. I think that goes up and down on the years. You do have, if you have a player that's in college and they want to play as many games as possible, you got the great league, you got the inner cities, the parks, the Yankees. Those are great college age leagues, right? And then they'll also play. They'll play in our league to get some extra bats. And I think that's been that helps keeps the level of play up. But then you also have the players that have left college and they're working and they want to be able to have a schedule where they play 1 or 2 games a week. And our league is perfect for that, right? Like 1 or 2 games a week. We play we have a long schedule going from April to into September. So that works really well. But the 18, that 18 age group, it's not as much of a we're 18 and above. But if you look at the breakout of our age breakout of our players, there's more players in their mid-20s and into their 30s than there are in the 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. It might lean back to just, again, competing for our kids' their time options.
Right. So we and the inner city and the the other leagues also have this similar challenges with some of the young kids. Like where do you get that there's other places for them to play? So we don't focus as much at the really, really young age. It's more for the players that have come out of college and then they can play after that. Because the other thing that our league has hello what's your
That's Rollo. That's Rollo. He likes to be on camera. Yeah.
Our playoffs start they roll into September, so you got to get playoff eligible, and then the playoffs start in September. So if you are in college, you as a manager, you're trying to get all those players playoff eligible, and then all of a sudden your college students away at college. So they're not going to help you during the playoffs when you really, really need them. So great great to be able to fill out the roster, help with games during the regular season, serve as a way to get them to become part of the league full time once college is over. But that's how we get more players in baseball. I think that's an overall challenge that all of our leagues are facing.
Yeah. So
I was going to say, it feels like, sorry, Dan, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead,
this isn't a question on our list, so I'm throwing this one in. This is a freebie. It feels like baseball is losing fans, and in losing fans, it's losing kids that played. You don't have pickup games anymore. I talk to coaches about this all the time. You don't see kids just playing at a field by themselves, having fun and making mistakes and sliding, and you just don't see it. And so I think we've lost some part of that's something that we don't understand, right? The four of us will love baseball and play baseball and be a part of baseball until we die, but it feels like there's like a newer generation where there's just not as many.
Remember playing kickball?
Yes.
Right?
We used to play with like broken hockey sticks and tennis balls. We would play with whatever we had.
When's the last time you saw anybody playing kickball? Like, when did that?
I played stickball. I mean, we used, wiffle ball bat taped up with electrical tape and the tennis ball, but I mean, that was our stickball.
We used pool cues. I remember using anything,
So I'm glad you brought up the Yawkey and the Park League. As you know, those leagues, have been hurting for the last couple of years. I think they're down to like 5 or 6 teams. So what do you think the difference is that the BMBL has continued to, we've lost some teams in the 18 plus. I remember years ago we used to have 20 teams in that division. So, we've lost teams as well in that division, and that age group seems to be diminishing. But we've still been able to, survive, let's say. But so, what do you think the BMBL is doing differently than, say, the Yawkey and Park League, who's down to like five teams, and they even talked about merging leagues this year to fix that issue. So what do you think we're doing differently as a league to?
Yeah, I think just talking about some of the other leagues. I mean, it's just so important to the fabric of what happens in Boston and baseball. Like those leagues have been super strong. Yawkey's been around forever. Inner City's been around forever. Park League forever, right? And I think it's great what they're doing about playing. Doing some of the cross divisional play.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's happened is the same thing that we experienced, but maybe they experienced it a little bit more with the challenge. Is that younger generation? There's not as many players going in and playing in those leagues. For us, we're focusing more on the older folks, and when you have people into their 30s and 40s, there's not a lot of choices. You're not going to go and play all these different places, because that's where we're really focused. Bringing bringing players in from one division to the next division to the next, all the different age divisions as the maturity. A team is in the 18 plus, and now they age out. If you're in another league, you're aged out. It's out. You're gone. But for us, that 18 plus team ages out. Oh, they go up to the 28 plus. Oh, that 28 plus ages out. And move on to the 38 plus.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Whitney.
And so, I think, Dan, you kind of just led into the question of how do we attract those younger players, but it feels like really the BMBL's kind of money is in sustaining the older players who want to continue their career.
I when I say younger players, like the 18, 19, 20, I mean, we can try to go and get those players and really, and we have, and teams go and do, but it becomes harder because of, if it's a super strong player that's in the collegiate world, they're gone come September, so they're not going to be part of the playoffs. So it's great to see them come in and help the teams play during play half the games during the summer, and then get to see them play once they become once they get out of college, or their living situation changes.
Yeah, makes sense.
Totally agree. It's working, because me and Dan definitely have experienced it. We've both played in the 18s, moved up to the 28s. Now we're both playing in the 38s. So the system works.
It really feels like a lifetime ago.
Changes over the years, where we've had a couple of different leagues that were playing and just focused in on the 18 plus, and then they went ahead and were going to we basically got them in and brought them under the BMBL umbrella, and have, those leagues have been integrated in. So that's good to see, and that's helped feed our. That's been another strategy for our league, is when other leagues need some help, we bring them in, and it can work really well because we have the infrastructure, we have we have all the website stuff that's all structured, because that goes not just on one division, it goes across all of our divisions. Thank you, Dan, for pulling that all together. I know we all thank you for your hard work in that area. And we do so much that it as a general league that attracts players into our league. Like we have our yearly banquet, which we have we've been having every year at Game On. You can get in the cages and hit where the Red Sox hit. We have winter ball games. We have Cape Cod Tourney. All these different events that continue the baseball experience once the regular season is over, and players can continue to experience things. So that infrastructure is there for other leagues to be able to come in and take advantage of that without having to completely full. Like we'll help them with permits. We have a good infrastructure and a good support system for other leagues when that time comes, if they want to be able to come in and join us.
And you really created. I'm sorry. I was going to say it's really created such an awesome community for a whole bunch of kind of, honestly, and I mean no disrespect, right? But it's a wonderful community for men to have. And I say this as being a woman who's hung out at all of these games and played with a lot of these guys in the 100 innings. That in this kind of world where everybody can be so isolated from one another, just on phones or social media, like these guys are getting out at least 2 nights a week, playing games with each other, with their friends. And the older you get, I think the more important that is, because the less you hang out with your friends. So in this way that you've sustained the game, you've also sustained these friendships. Every person we've had on this podcast has talked about their friendships and their family and their brothers. And it's a wonderful thing, because, when you're young and you're 18, you're still hanging out with your friends and you're still partying every night. These guys aren't. And then yet once a week, twice a week, they get to go hang out at a baseball field. Like, what's better than that? Nothing.
Yeah, I think most people we've talked to,
that's it, right?
Some of their best friends they've met through, the BMBL. And I can say the same thing. Gib and several others, I've been to plenty of weddings. I'm sure, you have too. So it's more than just, baseball, it's friendship. It's a lot of that stuff. And I'm the 18s today, and it feels like a lifetime ago that, we played in the 18s. It's just wild to now live vicariously, through these young kids, and it's like, where the hell did the time go? It's just crazy.
How are the games today, Dan?
Go ahead, Gib. What'd you say?
I said, how are the games today?
Oh, good. Cutters. I was gonna tell you they had the lead, and then they blew the lead, and then they walked off in the seventh, bottom of the seventh inning, 11-10. I think they won.
Woo. All right.
Yeah, they pulled it off. Yep. Yeah, Devin's catching and managing, which I know personally is not easy to do. But yeah, Cutters are still going strong.
Great to see them.
Gib, what were you gonna say?
I was just going to echo Angie's thoughts there. I think part of my wife's biggest gripe when baseball comes around is that we do have this and I don't mean this in a bad way. I really don't, because the social interaction that we get, like Angie said, a couple of times a week is there, and we do get to form relationships and have this community with a whole bunch of guys that a lot of people don't otherwise get. So sometimes I have to make sure that I am still dedicating that same amount of time to my wife, to my family that I normally do too, because Dee, like, she doesn't have that opportunity to go to a field 2 times a week to hang out with her girlfriends and do whatever. I mean, would give it to her, obviously, but it's not there and as frequent and at least as accessible that at least we have the opportunity to take advantage of. That's all I'm saying. We could probably go on that forever, but
Gibbs has been in the doghouse lately, so he's just trying to get out.
She can just do what I did. Go get patched.
Oh, God. She'd be a great umpire. She'd be a great umpire. She would not take any shit.
Oh, that's for sure. I mean, she hates baseball enough. I'm gone enough.
Oh, kills me. I had a kid today.
That's why.
Oh, good. No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I had a kid today at the game. So, it's an 11U game. It was a close call at first. I am 99% sure I made the right call, but I called him out. He goes behind the plate or behind the dugout and he's like, that ump sucks. And one of the coaches from the other team was like, did you just hear that? And I was like, he's 11. I've heard worse. I'm going to let him be mad. It's fine. Like, I'm not worried about it. They don't know that we can hear everything. But it was just so funny.
Everything.
Yeah. Have you guys had kids cry? I've had so many of these kids crying. If they, not just by striking out, but if they like flew out or they didn't hit the ball hard enough, like they'll go to the dugout crying. I'm like, I don't remember crying when I was 11 years old. But I mean, it's good that they're taking it seriously. But yeah, I feel bad for them. But
I got a lot of lip this past week. That's all I'll have to say. I had a pretty interesting week behind the dish, but.
Oh yeah, you had your first ejection of the year.
Oh wait, I need to hear more. Wait,
yeah,
sorry, Jeff.
We
didn't hear about this story.
Yeah, this past Wednesday, I was behind the plate for a varsity game in the GBL. We'll just say that. We don't need to name teams. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, let's not do that.
The hard part here, guys, is that there wasn't a painted batter's box.
I had that today too.
Yeah, never is.
The lines from first to third came down, and they kind of just stopped somewhere near home plate. So there was no batter's box for the entire game. One team took advantage of this. And during their second at-bats, their go-rounds, a couple of the kids that were real close to the plate, and I mean directly on top of the plate, I just made sure to tell them that, hey, you better make sure you're in the batter's box. And there were probably about 3 of them. It was a pretty close game. About the 5th inning, this kid came up. He had a 3-2 count on him. Kid threw a curveball, and he leaned his head in, and it hit the very top of his helmet.
That's on you, bro.
Yeah. Initially, I had awarded him first base, which I'm a little disappointed with myself because I knew that the pitch was in the zone, was a strike. And the coach of the other team came out and he's like, "Hey, will you get with your partner and check with that?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem." I walked up to my partner and he was like, "I was like, what did you see?" He's like, "Did you think that pitch was in the zone?" I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Then the kid should be out." So we turned around and we called him up. And
so was there 2 strikes already? Is that?
It was a 3-2 pitch. Yep,
okay.
2 outs. And that pitch would have ended the inning. So we corrected the call and we called the batter out. So the other coach came out and he had some choice things to say. And actually, I gave him a leash. I gave him a leash to vent for a while. And I had turned to my back. I had walked towards home plate. My partner was actually still talking to him and his team. So didn't really catch really anything, except my partner say, "We've had enough." And as he was walking away, I just heard the coach drop a couple more profanity-laced words. And I tossed him. It might have been a little quick, but I just hoped at that point, especially in front of his kids, that he just would have just shut his mouth. So I just told him that he could watch the rest of the game from the parking lot.
And play better baseball. Coaches need to coach, and they need to be better coaches.
Not even that, just be a better role model for these kids that you're trying to teach, because your kids are gonna act the way that you act.
I say that all the time.
He didn't leave the field. He actually stood 10 feet behind home plate, watched another half inning before I went and told my partner. I was like, listen, can you help me out? Because I didn't want to look like I was being aggressive or.
Yeah.
So ironically, the same team was down a run in the last inning, top of the seventh, 2 quick ground outs, and then the same kid came up again, right, as the third batter of the inning. Hit a routine ground ball to first that he was thrown out by 2-3 feet, and as he was going past the first baseman, he decided to stick his left foot out to try to basically leg swipe him.
Jesus.
So I had to eject him at the conclusion of the game for intentionally trying to hurt the first baseman.
2 ejections? Wait. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he said 2. Yeah, it's 2.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not – and I'll tell you what. So then I did a varsity game the next day. Here's, like, where and the coach, I think it was about the third inning, he started chirping to me about something. I think it was about balls and strikes. I think it might have been a pitch up or whatever. I just let him go. Because you know what? I didn't want to deal with all the paperwork I had to do if I tossed him. I'm not lying.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, Cub. So not to go off.
Back to Cub. Back to Cub.
Well, so. Oh
man, like being the umpire is it's a thankless job. I always try when I see an umpire make a call that I thought was good, I actually try to tell the umpire, "Nice call. I thought you got that right." Just because nobody ever says that.
No.
Yeah.
You know what, Cub, here's another question that's kind of off base, too. Did you ever think that you would see Danny and I, and you must know other guys from our league, and now Angie, too. Did you ever think that we'd be umping?
Not really.
Especially, how long ago was it where you and I both got ejected?
A new passion, right?
You remember you gave us a 6-game suspension. Gib and I got tossed from a game.
Bad boys.
God, was it 10 years ago? And the league came down hard on us. I think this was when Jason Bresner was president. But yeah, Gib and I got 6 games each. If you told me then that we would be umpires like 15 years later, I would have.
Wait, did you get a suspension for being a douche to an umpire?
We sure did. Yes, we did.
We were aggressive, not as aggressive as the umpire stated.
Of course not.
We were a bit much. A bit much. I remember charging down from third base.
Yes, but we didn't do some of the things that he said we did, and he offered to fight us in the parking lot.
That is true.
Yes,
that is true. Yeah.
So, but that's all in the past.
Recently, you were inducted into the BMBL and semi-pro.
Changing subjects.
Smooth. That was smooth.
Yeah.
Enough of that. Actually, congratulations.
But really, yeah, congratulations.
I just wanted to know what all that meant.
It means so much. I think it means so much for anybody that's in our league and sees, what they've done for the league and themselves, like how they've been able to contribute and see that success turn into something.
Look at that. That's awesome.
And everything.
Yeah.
Look at the B-roll. Yeah, nice.
That Mike Powers?
That was the banquet. That was the banquet.
Yeah.
2022, we figured, right? 2022.
Now you zoom in. My name is not spelled correctly. That was.
Are you kidding me?
That's a Brett Rudy. That's a Brett Rudy.
No, this is not the official our Hall of Fame. This was the National Semi-Pro Hall of Fame.
Oh, I have to get the other picture
another
then.
So Mike Powers
they spelled your name wrong. Sorry, I
And,
grabbed the wrong picture.
That was a great surprise when that happened. That was another great surprise. But really, the one that meant the most was was our own Hall of Fame. Just being recognized for playing and contributing in so many different ways. And that was special.
I think a lot of people, remember you as more of a manager, but you had some pretty impressive numbers.
Yes, you did. Dude, he used to kill us.
Yes, he did. 556 games, 319 average, 482 hits, 319 RBIs, 263 runs, 72 doubles, 15 triples, 8 home runs, 160 walks, and 26 stolen bases. Were those home runs with the aluminum back when, or were those wood bat? Was that the wood bat era?
It was a little bit of both. It was probably some of those, probably more the aluminum side. But some of the bats we used to play at, you could hit a ball and we'd run for like Cleveland Circle. We used to play there a lot.
Yeah.
And have to run out the home runs there. And then we played at this field, right? It was Jefferson Field. It was in
down left field
with the tall
left field with the bricks.
The stone
with the bricks. You had Jefferson Field with the school in left field.
260 to left.
Center field must have been 200. Must have been 200, 225 feet to dead center. And
sure.
Be a couple home runs hit there.
Yeah, but
that's all right. It's more than the one we have.
Yeah, you're second all time in games played. So. I forget who is number one, but since you're not playing
Nell.
Mike Nell. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. He was also recently inducted into the Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah, it's been a lot of great players, but it's been it was a great honor and achievement, and it feels like so long ago when I was playing at that level, because then I started managing after that. What's up, Mike? I was just giving you. We were just talking about the semi-pro baseball Hall of Fame. I got that. I don't have it on me now, but I still have that plaque, and it still says Coveney, Conveney.
That's great. So I have to put this up there because I'm not sure what Terrio's asking, but it's gotten a few likes. It says where'd all the cable money go when it was absorbed? I'm not sure what he means. Obviously. The cable league folded and they joined the BMBL, but I'm not sure what maybe you understand.
Yeah, that. I mean we took on those teams as a completely new entity. The teams joined. I'm not whatever happened with permit money or anything else. That was not part of our. We focused on bringing in teams that wanted to join our league and starting fresh. And it's been a great. The Commonwealth League has been fully integrated in. Numerous teams from that league, numerous teams from our own league, and now it's all one. It's all one division. That's been a couple of years now. So, been great to see those guys come in and be able to contribute and be part of the league right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a seamless integration. It's been great, and it was a good way to grow that 18+ division, which we talked about earlier. It's hard to find young kids that are playing baseball right now, and not just us.
And we did open a spit. This rule has been on there for a while, but we do have it available that each team can have a couple of 17-year-olds. We don't have that many that play within the league, but each team can have up to 2 with the permission of their parents. But we've had different players play over time. Usually, it starts out with someone's son that starts.
Someone's son. Yeah.
Bill Ferdinand and Tyler way back in the day. Now Tyler's running the team. So it's just a great progression. This is a great story, the progression of our league. So Bill Ferdinand, he was with the Red Sox and, had some tough years and was growing trying to grow the league. And then he's like, I got my son, Tyler, he wants to play. He's 17. He started playing. And now they've just become a powerhouse in the league. Tyler's taken over, the day-to-day for the managing and has just kicked ass as a player. And now he's not I don't even know how old he is now. He must be like, how old is Tyler?
I remember when he was this big, and he was come to the games, watching his dad, and it's wild.
He is a beast of a ball player.
I think he's like 25, maybe. It's crazy.
I love it. A few years ago, I was at I try to make it to as many playoff games as I can. And I was fortunate enough to be at the championship game when the Red Sox, now called the Maca Rays, who were they playing? I don't know who they won the championship, and it was great to see Tyler and Bill celebrating together.
Yeah.
And as father and son, and it's not only special to win a championship, but now you're doing it with like your family. That's pretty. It was pretty cool
stuff. Yeah.
How can you not be romantic about baseball?
I know that quote is perfect.
It's always perfect.
Yeah. So, Cov, Ange, this is your question. I'm stealing.
Go for it, because I've lost track of where we are.
Okay. We're talking about innovations and changes that we're hoping to bring to the league. And I know we've been doing a lot of live streams and different stuff like that, but what are some other things you think that we could do to, bring some innovation and changes to the league? I know social media is huge, and I don't think enough leagues use social media, in my opinion. But what do you think are some things that we could do to
Sure. Well, I'll go back to one of the things I was talking about at the beginning, where slow and steady sometimes wins the race, and that's been a successful recipe for us. Not trying to do all these different things when opportunities arise to bring in new teams or new leagues or expand to different tournaments. We have done that. It's been adding on slow and steady, and that's been really successful for our league. But innovation is important too, right? So where do we innovate at as a league? One of those areas, and we've been doing really well with it. And really, it's thanks to what you've been doing, Dan, and some of the other managers who have now taken your lead, is covering the games from a social perspective and video perspective. So getting those videos, those live streams of games, announcers at games, giving the play-by-play. It's pretty cool that players can actually have their friends and family be part of the branded experience, not being at the game. And we did that. We had so many playoff games that were covered last year, and we'll just do more and more this year. I think we could probably, and it's a time thing, if anybody wants to volunteer some time and be our social manager, we would love for that to happen. Hit up Dan or hit up myself to really just take and do featured players of the week. We do that. That's some of the stuff we do, and that's great. But more of it, at a social level where it's happening every day, and it's hard to manage. It's easy to talk about. It's hard to manage and do. Content is very difficult to do. Right?
I don't want to go solving problems here, but the Cape Cod leagues hire interns every summer. So they have college interns come from the local colleges who do branding and marketing, and they intern with the league and do all of that for them for an internship experience.
So that's actually something Whitney Dowds did, who we call our sideline reporter. It was actually, he got credit for it. For college, that was a few years ago. He started doing that, and I got to give him a shout out because I know he's been doing interviews on the side for his segment called Beyond the Bases and Eastern Mass Sports, I think it is. So he's been great with that and interviewing different players and managers around the league. So I got to give a shout out to Whitney.
But we have so many great schools in the area. I mean, Emerson for broadcasting, all of those schools with social media pieces to them. So I would say check them out.
All right. I'm going to put you in charge of the hiring for
I have interns every year, so I know the routine.
Great idea.
Yeah, I just hired my own. Well, I didn't hire. I just got my own intern at work. So that's why it was fresh in my brain.
I used to have an intern at work.
Right. So help in that area. I think that's an area. We were talking earlier about what we have. We have been on just a fantastic stat system with 400 hitter. It's still an excellent system. Being able to drive, it drives the community, right? It helps drive the community because people know who's hitting what and who's pitching and what the stats are. The stats bring out conversation and it helps the community of our league. How could we take that to the next level? We could look at doing some more things technology wise, but it's hard to change. We a couple of years ago we we licensed some technology that brought a little bit of 400 hitter. It brought a little bit of roster management. It brought a little bit of contact management for some of the managers. And we just never got it off the ground. We licensed it for a year to try it out. And it was checking all the boxes, but we just didn't move it along. So I don't know, maybe one of these days we'll do that. But
yeah. So Mike Santarpio, and I know I've mentioned this in the past. He mentioned Game Changer. Like they're at the point now. So when I umped a game, the two teams, and this was one of my suggestions to Game Changer actually years ago, that they create like a league membership where the league creates the different teams, and then the teams can share lineups with each other. So they literally are doing that now. So the manager of this 11U team walks over to the manager and they scan the QR code and they share lineups in Game Changer. And, as a 400 hitter is kind of a pain for managers. You have to enter the stats manually, whereas Game Changer, they do all the stats for you. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think Game Changer is 100% where I would like it to be as far as like videos and social media and integrating with the websites, but yeah, what's your thoughts on like something like that, like Game Changer for the league?
Yeah, I mean, I think any of the technologies do really well, but we also have to remember that we have 40 plus teams, and how do we successfully roll that out? I mean, just being in my non-baseball life, I'm in technology and marketing and technology, and one of the biggest challenges in companies is rolling out technology and drive. It's easy to buy the technology and start to get hey, well, now we've licensed this piece of software. It's driving adoption and change management. And we like Dan, you're like a pro at Game Changer, right? And so are a couple of other managers. But then we have managers that are running, older. There are older managers. So how do they drive? How do you drive adoption with them? That's it becomes a little. If you only have like 10 teams and everyone's the same, demographic and age. All right, we can drive change easier.
But it's funny, these young games, you don't see a scorebook anymore. It's all through the phone. The manager just holds the phone the whole game while he's coaching third or first, and just plugs the count in.
You seeing that on the high school level?
High school, the travel teams.
Not as much on the high school level. They're not.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's more of the travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all. Yeah, I've seen that. They're using the. Well, that's what I was going to say. You're going to have the manager there with an iPad. Then doing. Updating Game Changer. That's good. Getting guys to just understand how to work 400 and plug in how to put in a new player into their roster was certainly hard enough. I mean, so.
Well, I will say this for a true story. When Zach and I first started dating, he would just email me his stats or the link to his stats. So all the women out there who are now after going to get links to live games and have to sit through the live games, I'm just saying this might be a thing.
Does that work for you? Like, thing? Like,
apparently it worked. They're married.
3 for 4 tonight. Is that good for you?
Only Zach would do that.
That don't work with everyone.
Yeah,
I don't think that worked with me.
Well, he would also do that to me after I sat and watched the whole game. Then we would go home and he would be like, "Look at my stats look at my box," and I was like, "Babe, I was there. I actually kept the book for that game."
He is the stolen base leader. I used to do that too. Right? Stolen base leader in 38.
He's coming up. He's coming up on hits too. He's coming up on 400 hits soon. So this might be the year. Yeah, this might be the season.
Well, it would be with the Red Sox, so that's okay with me.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But Giv, I'm going to steal one of your questions. I'm sorry. You talked about social media, and some may know that you kind of started your own little social media, this segment called I'm Gonna. How did that all come about? It's pretty funny stuff.
Totally not really related. Yeah, totally not related on the baseball end of things. I've enjoyed. Yeah, I've enjoyed making content over the years, documenting things, and I started. I was making some content, and I just noticed that I would start the content with I'm Gonna, and it became like a philosophy. It's not just the content. It's an active thing. Like you're gonna do something, right? It's not like you're just gonna sit on the couch and do nothing. Like you're gonna go and try to do something, and you're probably gonna fail at it and have fun, But like I have fun doing that. So whether or not, my last one is I built a flower. I built a floor for my shower.
Yeah.
My outdoor shower, and
I
messed
play
up
that.
the whole thing.
I want one of those so bad.
Yeah, so I'm doing it. That's where I was painting today. I came in from painting. I got a big gunner on the whole shower thing. Like little things like your wife asks you to go and get some tampons. So like,
good men do. Yes, you are.
She's been in a lot of the videos.
There's maxi pads, there's super max, there's flow through, there's rings on tampons. There's all these things. So like for the people that have to go and get tampons, the guys, we don't know what the hell they are.
But you can recall the stats from your game 17 fucking years ago. So you know what? No.
But we can't get tampons.
That's great.
I just learned something for the shower that I'm building, right? That Dan and Matt, I'm going to ask if you know what this is, and this is for the ladies in the audience. You ever notice the shelves that are in your shower that are like at knee level? Do you ever notice that, Matt and Dan?
Sure, yeah.
Do you know what that is?
For like showering in the shower. Whatever.
Yeah, you're like me. I didn't know what that is.
Whatever. What?
No. So what, you want to tell them?
You put your foot on it while you're shaving your legs, gentlemen.
Oh, that makes sense.
You see, you learned something new. I just learned that. I was told that I need to put that in my shower. So I'm gonna put a shower shaving a shaving ledge in the shower.
It's not for the soap.
I gotta show this.
I thought it was soap for the kids.
It looks good, Tom.
Oh, this is awesome,
I don't know why.
Jeff.
I get the sides on it now. I just did the I just did the door today.
That's awesome.
Plumbing and stuff.
No, I didn't do the plumbing yet. The plumbing I still need to do that. So it's fun to do this stuff. I did one last year when we had the All-Star game, and I did some interviews of some players. So maybe I'll do some more of those this year and really try to highlight some of the players a little bit more. And just
That's
have
so
fun
cool.
doing it.
Get an echo. Is that me? That might be me. Sorry.
I think that's you. Yeah, that's
sorry. But yeah, I think it would be great if we did more of those. Well, first you got to do one for this podcast.
Yeah.
And then
we're gonna stop that right now. Hold on. I'm gonna get my video. I'm gonna get my video here. See, I get my camera.
Go.
All right. So.
I'm gonna be on a podcast.
No, but they've actually been getting a lot of views.
Joyce, and look at my friends over here. We're all talking, and then Dan, you gotta send me the video, and then
That's right.
all right, we're gonna ask them a question. The question that I'm gonna ask them is, who would you rather have to start your baseball team at Major League Baseball? Is it Jim Rice or Mookie Betts?
Mookie
all day.
Yeah.
Mookie
I heard Jim Rice. I heard he's kind of.
So it's Mookie. So this is Fielder's choice, and we are not hitting any ducks today. There are ducks that got hit on a baseball game. So
Ducks in the pond.
all right, we'll see. Maybe that ends up in a video. We'll see.
I hope so.
So you'd say we're all messed up with where we're doing the questions. So Dan, I'm gonna steal the next one.
Go ahead.
So that's awesome with your I'm gonna videos. We hear about kind of all of these things, but what do you hope is in store for the BMBL in the future? What's coming?
I'd like to see us continue to grow our age divisions. We were looking to add in. We've had our oldest age division is 38 plus. We were looking to add a 45 plus. The beginning of the year, we talked to some of the managers, some other teams, and that didn't end up happening. But certainly in the future, as some of the 38 teams start to age up a little bit more, we'd like to expand the league age-wise, going up that way. Not necessarily going down. We want to be able to keep the progression going up, to be able to support more age levels.
That makes a ton of sense.
Which means you'd have to unretire as well.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I can still play. I should go in the 30H, the Monday nights. I just don't want to play on the
DH. There you go.
Yeah.
So I think that's a change as we move forward. I think there's two areas. One is the social media aspect, driving more awareness of our league through the video, which we are doing as a league, and I think we're doing that pretty well. But there's just more of that we could do. Maybe Angie, we get an intern to help with some of that social media, right? Great idea.
Give them some college credit. You'll be all set.
Yeah, they can get credit for it.
And then looking to expand, to expand some of the ages of our league to add in another division.
I think Fielder's Choice should go on the road a couple times this season, do a show on the road.
Brett was trying to get us Fenway or something. He was trying to get us a couple episodes at Fenway.
I mean, make it happen, Captain.
Yeah, let's go, Brett.
Right.
Let's go, Brett Rudy.
Waiting.
By the way, shout out to his son who just graduated from college.
Right.
Colin, yeah.
Awesome. Congrats, Colin.
Mm-hmm. Engineering? I feel like I saw a Facebook post about engineering. Yeah.
So he's gonna be a working man. God, we're old.
This is him turning to the workforce.
Another one I remember when he was like this big.
Tiny, yeah.
And I remember when my family members who were older used to say this, when they were my age, and now to be that age and it's now saying the same thing. It's wild. We're a bunch of old bastards.
I stay young, guys.
I don't know how you do it, Andy.
It tries to keep us young.
Yep.
Need someone to do it.
Are you older than Gib? Who's older? You or Gib? I think you got him beat, right?
Who, me?
Yeah. You're a little older than
I don't know. Gib, how old are you? How old? 82, yes. Yeah. I am older than you, Gib, 81.
Nice.
But you'd never know it. Sunscreen, baby, every single day.
Sunscreen.
My poor ears.
Yeah. I gotta start using sunscreen. The sun's been brutal lately.
I work with teenagers. You gotta work with teenagers, man. They'll keep you young.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Because if you show up and your outfit isn't on point, they'll tell you. So you change it. You do.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. every day.
So Jeff, talk to us about some of what the challenges are being the president. You've talked about kind of taking over and implementing some kind of new things. And what are the challenges for you?
I think some of the biggest challenges that we have, just not just myself, but the commissioners, is when things go wrong. We try to get ahead of things as much as possible, but when issues arise, they become very challenging, and specifically on player conduct and when there are ejections. Those are extremely stressful to work with, and every single one is different. With Dan and Matt, who were talking because years ago it came up again. Sorry, guys.
No,
you spent the time that is spent on decisions around should someone get suspended or not suspended there's so much time that's spent on it, and it's stressful, and it's great that we have the commissioners that are usually on top of that right off the bat, but sometimes that there's issues that arise that I get involved in, and I am providing some feedback on what a suspension should look like. That's probably the hardest thing I think with the league is dealing with the personnel when there are issues. We've done something though that has really worked for us as a league from a management perspective and for players, setting expectations, is that if you get ejected from a game, it's an automatic 1-game suspension. There's no appeals. There's no, unless there's some crazy thing where the umpire comes back after the game and says, I throw out the wrong guy or something like some like it's a 1-game suspension. And what that does is it set expectations with the players and the managers. Don't get tossed. You're going to lose a game. It's not like you're going to lose a game. You're going to be suspended the next game. So managers try to keep their players under control that way. Players know it. And then the other benefit is if someone gets thrown out, which does happen, like we as a leadership team don't have to spend hours, because that's what it takes, hours to research and figure out what happened with that ejection. Now we'll still look at it, right, the ejection, to see if it warrants further suspension after one game. But it makes it so much easier for all around, and I think that's helped the behavior in the league too, because that's the expectation is you get tossed, it's going to be a game suspension.
So what do you do? Because, from our end, if we eject somebody because we feel their behavior was egregious or, something else, as a team, as a board, do you get together and kind of recap the incident and then decide on a further punishment, or just say, okay, the 1-game suspension's enough, he was out of line? How does that part work?
Usually the feedback comes in. It comes in from the umpire. It usually goes into to Walter, and the umpire talks to the commissioner of the age division. Art comes from the other manager. That it's part of our process that we need to know, because we need to be part of the record for the particular player. We look at it, and mostly it's the commissioners looking at it, and if it's the garden variety, which most of them are, they'll have the 1-game suspension, and they'll be notified that they can't play the next game. Managers know that, and that's been communicated pretty well amongst the managers and the commissioners on how that process works. And if there's something that's really egregious, that will get looked at, and both managers get interviewed. We talk to the umpires. Anybody that gets involved, we look at the written report. Sometimes there are calls and talk to other managers. It's not a fun process. Nobody has time to do that. I don't have time. The commissioners don't have. Nobody wants to do that.
Is there, so if it's somebody who, say, has been ejected 2 times, do they get further, maybe like a 2-game suspension, or is it 1 every time?
It would be looked at a little bit. I forget. We do have that documented in our player contact, player code of conduct. If it's multiple times, then there can be an additional games. But for the most part, that doesn't happen. Players, once they get ejected that first time, they generally go back on best behavior and
for a little while.
For a little while.
No, but sometimes, like Orazio, who's the commissioner, but he also runs a team in the league. If someone gets thrown out in that division, it's kind of a conflict of interest, right? And it has to go. The decision has to go with the other commissioners and yourself, because if he's running a team, it's hard for him to rule on what should happen to a player on an opposing team when he's running a team in the league and also the commissioner. Whereas like the 18s, Brett isn't on a team, so there's no conflict.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's where I usually will jump in as the president is if there's some type of conflict. If like your own player gets tossed, you can't Raz can't
that too,
spend his own play like that. That would come up to me, and that's where I'm like kind of the rover, and I look around to make sure everybody everything is moving forward.
Cov, overall, are those trends about the same from year to year, or has that kind of decreased with that rule, or do you know?
That rule's been there for a long. It's been there for a long time.
My question really is
at least 10 years, and you think it's working, then all of a sudden you get like a little string of ejections. You're like, I don't know, that's not working. So, do
you find that the numbers are fairly the same from year to year, like the number of players that get tossed in a given year?
I think so. I think we had a couple of years ago, we had an uptick in some ejections. I'm not sure what that was. It was coming out of COVID. I remember we had some like ejections that next year.
And then I have another question, follow up. So then what happens if you all kind of feel like, no, this was the this was on the ump? Do you have that conversation with Walter then? And kind of maybe talk about how the umpire's behavior was unsportsmanlike or just shouldn't have been? I mean, how does that work in
question.
the other way?
We'll have to have a lot of conversations with Walter if there's something specific about an umpire, and he'll get involved. And he doesn't want to get involved either. Like, I don't want to get involved. We don't. It's not a conversation that anybody wants to have.
Right.
No, but
right.
a lot of people think it's umpire's word against theirs. But you know, you look at the whole picture. You know, because there's some umpires that do escalate and make the problem, you know, worse. One of them being on this podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Now you have to pick which one.
It's not, you know, you generally don't get thrown out for nothing. Like there's something that's going on.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
just try to do your best to behave, and you know.
Yeah.
It does happen. It's part of the game, but you know,
Yeah.
we all have to all respect one another as humans and as fellow baseball players.
Right. And also respecting the umps is part of the game. And that's something I'm trying to teach the kids too, honestly. Like, you might not agree with me, but it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter. If you don't think that was a ball or a strike, it doesn't matter. So just play the game.
Umpires should not, you know, I know umpires are getting paid, but they're not getting paid to take crap. I mean, you're just not, it's not how it should work. You can argue calls, but like, don't take it beyond that.
Right. Exactly. Right.
And it's just another thing that we've done too is, as part of the process, is managers are exempt from that 1 game suspension. They still might get suspended beyond that.
Yeah.
But the reason we do that is because if a player is acting a certain way, the manager can jump in and start to argue the fact, and they're arguing on behalf of their team, and may have to take the hit from an ejection perspective. That doesn't happen all that much, but like we have.
No, but that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
And it has
that
helped
makes
over
sense.
the years.
Yeah.
I got to use my free ejection soon.
Dan just got to get out of jail free card.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I ump, you know, these games in the 18 plus division, which is the only division I'm allowed to do because I'm playing in the other leagues. And I think some of the players know that I'm on the board, so I think they tend to act, you know, on their best behavior. The same thing when Cov was playing on the Cutters, and teams would come in and they knew that the president of the league was on the other team, and they knew that they had to act in their best behavior because the president of the league is over there on the other side. So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cool. Like, yeah. But so my co-hosts here came up with some questions while I was umping, and they had this question. I'm not sure I understand it, but what are the most important parts of the game you are trying to preserve, and what are the things you would like to manage differently, if anything?
Well, I think we kind of already, so I came up with that one.
Sure.
We already kind of like talked about things that are going to be changing. I'm just wondering, you know, baseball, I think, right, a lot of kids right now, the issue, and we talked about this before, is that they're either, I don't know, it's not holding their interest, right? And MLB has tried to do these things with like the ghost runner and the, all, you know, kind of these other, you know, the pitch clock. What kind of things, though, do you feel are the most important things to preserve, right? So BMBL changed from 9 innings to 7, clearly. But what things do you just feel like we're not changing? I mean, this is how it is.
Yeah, I mean, we do have consistent rules that go across all of our age divisions. That was one thing we did a few years ago, and we wanted to do that so it was easier for umpires, players, managers to know rules that were always the same. And then each age division might have its own rules. So for example, 3 strikes and 4 balls. Like that's the consistent stuff we're gonna follow Major League Baseball rules for that. But some of the divisions have courtesy runners. The 18s, I don't really have that, but that's an example of where you might have some slight differences in our rules. If you look at a rule book, and Scott Isaacs, God bless him, he went through all the rules and made everything as consistent as possible. You'll see different stipulations for different age divisions where you have different rules that make sense for that particular age group. One thing I don't think we're going to start doing And Major League Baseball has it because we go by the Major League rule book unless there's an exception. But Major League Baseball, and I think it's good for Major League Baseball, and they've done this over the years, is some of the speed up rules that exist. I think the first, you get the extra inning one, and you got the pitch clock and all that. Like we're not doing it. We don't have a time issue with our ball games. I mean, maybe there might be a quality of play issue at times, but it's not necessarily time. Players are running in and out. We don't have commercial breaks and bringing in a lefty, then bringing in a righty, then bringing it just those aren't things that we do. But the first year that Ghost Runner came out, I remember we voted on that as the 18 plus managers, and I remember voting for it, and then all of a sudden it passed. It passed to actually do that for the year, and then we had an extra inning game. And it was so weird trying to manage that, like last inning. Like, do you bunt or what do you do? And then I think we lost that game, and I didn't want to do that ever again. It just changed. In Major League Baseball, like you can figure out that strategy, but like I don't know how to make that work. Like, should you bunt? Should you not bunt? The other team bunted twice, and then I think we made an error on one, right? Like so.
Yeah.
So would you write an executive order, banning that?
Yeah.
No, there was a vote. It was a vote. The next year the managers went and voted and got voted out.
So you guys played the entire year under that rule?
The entire year. I don't think it was for the playoffs though. I think it was just for the regular season.
Yeah. Just don't replace the umps with AI.
Yeah, please don't.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
It was a funny comment. One of the 18 plus teams said the other night they didn't like one of the calls home plate umpire made, and they're like, "You're gonna get replaced with AI soon anyway." Like, they were joking. I thought it was funny. It was pretty funny.
That's pretty funny.
We raised the league fees for the cameras behind the plate. Yeah. We joke about it, but you never know. That could be like in 10 years from now.
I know there's cameras. All the games, most of the games I've owned, there's always a camera back there. Everything's being filmed these days. It's scary.
Be on your best behavior. No more 6-game suspensions there, Dan and Gib.
Yeah,
Exactly. You show up and do your job, and hopefully you do it to the best of your abilities.
And know which tampons to buy.
But I do remember I was on the Cape. I was in Dennisport. It was over Memorial Day. Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm like leaving my family, and I'm on phone calls. I was very straight. It's stressful to try to figure that out. And it's stressful for you, Matt. It's stressful for you, Dan. It's
yeah.
You just don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Agreed. And on the other side too, now umping and stuff, it's not fun. Then you have to do a whole bunch of paperwork. You have to talk to ADs. You have to talk to, whoever else. It's not fun.
And in high school, right? Don't they have to go to a class if the manager gets right?
If you get tossed as a varsity coach, you're going to basically a behavioral class and
anger management.
As a player, I think the MIAA has a rule too where the player, if he gets ejected, I think it's 2 games. I'm not sure.
Wow.
I know it's at least 1 too, but
yeah, they're going into
an automatic suspension as well too. So
yeah, and they're going to the playoffs too. So that's the last thing they want.
Exactly. But again, too, you guys don't show up to games looking to throw people out, right?
No,
it's not what we do.
No.
So. But it's a fine line. It's a fine line trying to voice your argument with trying to get a call to go your way, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So, I think we have one more question for you, and we might actually have a podcast under 2 hours, which is going to make Gib and his wife very happy.
We're trying to preserve marriages here at Builder's Choice Podcast.
Yes. Gib, I'm going to steal your question again. Cov, favorite moment either during your time as president of the league or as player of the league, other than your 6 championships?
Well, those are like different. That's like 2 different things. So as a player, I think the championships is definitely one of those, the memories of being together with the team and the team coming together and winning. And I remember like little moments of not everything within those championships, but little moments in time of those championships and how everybody contributes. So that's been a great memory. Great. What I always enjoy as a commissioner is our banquets. And seeing everybody come together and seeing how happy people are to get their awards and their accolades. And I love seeing the people succeed and when they get the Cy Young or they get the MVP or they win, you're giving away the championship trophy. It's cool to be able to see that all come together and the community come together, right? Because that's the one time a year that everybody's coming together. Teammates are hanging with one another. You're hanging out with other teams that are in your division. And then you're also hanging out with, you're seeing players hang out with other divisions. And maybe they move up in an age division because they had that experience as part of the community. So seeing that come together is one of the highlights of the year.
Can we go back to Wednesdays, Cov? Because Rudy changed it to Tuesdays, and I can never do Tuesdays. So if we can just change it back to Wednesday this year, that'd be great for me. Thank you.
For Wednesday, what, for the banquet?
Yeah, we used to be on Wednesdays, and then the past 2 years he changed it to Tuesday because it worked for him. It doesn't work.
No, it's more like it's something to do with the World Series.
Yeah,
and
try and plan.
Is that? Well, no. The last time, didn't he have to go someplace? I feel like I heard a rumor that he had a trip planned.
That is
true.
So last year, 2 years ago.
I'll let the World Series take precedence. But if we can go back to Wednesdays, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing, and like seeing different things like you guys, you've like grown and like now you're doing a podcast, right? You guys are doing a podcast and you're umpiring. It's awesome.
No, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Is a big fan. As if enough of his time isn't taken up umpiring, and now we got the podcast.
At the end of the day, Cov, it's all for the same reasons that the other guys are doing it. We all love baseball. You've helped give us a place where we can have continued to do the thing that we love, and thanks. Thanks for doing what you do. Like, because I know a lot of times it can be thankless, and you've given us at least the opportunity to keep doing what we love. So.
Well, it's great to see, but again, it's a team. Like I couldn't do it without the likes of all the other the commissioners. Scott Isaacs is running the 38 plus and creating all the rules, and Rudy does everything from scheduling to event management to running the 18s. Razio just recently jumped right in, took over the whole the 28 plus, and Curry's doing all the Metro West, right? So like that is an amazing team that we have that's come together. And of course you, Dan, with everything you're doing on the website, and we got Kyle Brendenstein running the finances. So everyone's got a very distinct role, and we come together to as a team, because we couldn't do it without. You take one of those cogs out and it messes things up.
I'm actually skipping my Senators game tonight. They're playing right now to do this podcast, so. Dedication. Go
I've never heard of that, Dan. Is like I can't make the game because I'm running a podcast. That's
yeah, right.
And I turned down an umping 18 plus game tonight so I don't know which one it was. Yep, but
all right. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been a heck of a lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, come back anytime. Thanks for coming.
It's been great. We're like spending a lot of time with you here tonight.
I hear that a lot.
I'm looking forward to the new I'm Gonna video.
Me too. I'm excited. You're going to have to send it. We're going to have to post it next week or post it on our Facebook page.
Yes. I gotta edit it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can wait. In your spare time.
Good luck with that shower.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so cool.
It looks awesome. I'll send you guys some pictures.
It does look awesome.
There's nothing better than an outdoor shower. I had one growing up.
Besides the bugs.
Nah.
You get over it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. But thank you, Cov.
Thanks, Cov.
Appreciate you
Thanks for
being
coming.
on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'll see you guys. See you guys later.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Talk
for
to you
sure.
soon.
All right.
Good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
My mouse is not working very good. Very nice. Very nice.
Dude, D, his teams always killed
Oh.
us. Always.
I mean, 2007, we
Oh,
had the best team. I mean, I
the
think we
best
could
team
have.
that one of the best teams that I've ever played on.
Yeah,
Yes, for
I think
sure.
we could have gone up against Yawkey teams. I don't know, inner city. I don't. Our team was nasty. We should have won, and I don't know how we blew that series. And then I became a cutter. I never thought
Yeah, right.
that they were like one of our big rivalries when we were the Tigers, and I never thought I would eventually play for the Cutters. Yeah, it's crazy. Everything comes.
And look
full
at you guys
circle.
now.
Yeah.
Yep. Switching
Right.
teams all around.
All
Now-
grown up.
And now
Yep.
I'm umping them, which is
And now
crazy.
I'm being cutters.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But Ange.
Then we had, yes.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, we had two surprise guests tonight. Rolo and Benny just decided they
Yeah,
wanted
right?
to be a part of it. So it's been...
Yeah, Rolo must have heard Benny. And it's like,
But
I'm gonna-
I was going to say, what a great episode, though. I mean, that was really awesome to get that lens, I think. But as you finished it out, I think this league has meant a lot to a lot of people. And it's really brought a lot to just a different stage of life that can still have glory days in it. I think it's awesome.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
totally
yes.
agree.
But Ange, this brings
Yes,
us
sir.
to your segment.
Let's go.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend. So take it away.
Let me tell you about my best friend.
Where did you go? Hold on,
I'm right
I'll find
here.
you. I'll find you. Ow. My camera, my mouse is messed up. Go ahead. I'll
Well, you can hear me, right? So my
Yes.
biggest plug so actually last week, Mother's Day, when we had our Mother's Day segment, that wonderful video that you guys posted for me that I just shared with everybody, and I really hope that everybody kind of enjoyed it as much as I did. But was Women in Baseball Week for the MLB. So the MLB actually spent the entire week kind of hosting these Women in Baseball events. They had a lot of guest speakers. They were talking a lot about this new Women's Pro League and really kind of spent a lot of time this week and energy into just supporting women and girls in baseball. They donated a ton of money to some of the organizations to kind of promote that. But the big news this week is that Maybelle Blair, All the Way May, has released her book, All the Way, with Cat Williams, and that is now for sale. And she's actually offering, if you are able to find it, I'm friends with her on Facebook. It's a long story, but I am. And she's actually offering to send people autographed copies. So if you can kind of get hooked up into that, you'll get an autographed copy from Maybelle Blair, which, I mean, I did it already, so who doesn't want one?
Awesome.
But check it out. Yeah, really cool. She's also an amazing woman. So many stories. She's really done so much to preserve baseball. She was not only a, what do you call those people who on like the side of shows who help out? What word am I thinking of?
Like producer.
You know those people? No, no, like a, not. Oh my
Support.
gosh. Kind of, but you know when they have people there for like reference, basically. I don't know why I'm blanking, but the new kind of show, A League of Their Own, that was on Netflix, I believe. She was one of the people who was helping out with the real stories and what was going on in between the lines. She's been spearheading this Women in Baseball Museum in Rockford, Illinois, where the Peaches played, and spearheading fixing up the stadium. So she's huge. If you get a chance, her book, All the Way.
Awesome.
Very
Nothing.
nice. All right. Good stuff. All right. So next week, I'm very excited to have Noah on the show.
Oh, that's right. That's next
Yeah.
week. How
That is
exciting.
next week. Noah Katz. He runs the Umpire channel, Instagram, Facebook. He's got over 100,000 followers across all of his channels. Puts out a lot of content. He's umped at the Savannah Bananas game. He's a college student, and somehow he was able to get an umpire gig at the Bananas game. And I know he follows a lot of different umpires. D1 umps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Noah Katz. He runs the umpire channel. Check it out. But he'll be on next week, same time, same place.
So exciting.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
gonna be
Looking
good
forward
one.
to it.
And
Yep.
then after that, we're gonna have Rob Weissman. He runs Beat Baseball in Boston. It's baseball for the blind. What these guys do, girls, gals, it's unbelievable. But
I saw some of the highlights of it. And I really want to hear him talk about kind of how they came up with this idea and how they do
Yeah,
it,
it's
because
crazy.
it's pretty incredible.
Imagine trying to play.
Yeah.
I mean, baseball is hard enough as it is. Try playing it without the ability to see.
Yeah.
It's wild.
He was on NPR last weekend. I heard a segment last week.
Awesome.
So-
Awesome.
Oh, I'll have to download that. Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, that'll be great. If any one of you want to come on the show, let us know.
Hit us
Sunday
up.
nights, 8:00, and we are now on Spotify, by the way. So we're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify. So check it out.
So you can
Fielder's
listen to us
Choice.
in your car.
Yeah. Why not?
Tune in
Why not?
every week.
Every week, Sunday, 8 p.m. But yes, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.
As always.
Great
And,
night, fella.
Can we dedicate this episode to the bird?
Oh.
R.I.P.
Did you name the
That's a
bird,
good idea.
by the way?
You know, I didn't,
Jack-
but I just thought we also had the animals.
Jack Sparrow.
Oh, Jack Sparrow.
That's
But I was
pretty
thinking
good.
we had Benny and Rollo join. So in the spirit
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
animals, R.I.P.
Yes.
Sparrow.
Should
But
have
also,
buried-
this kid did something that only like Randy Johnson did. Do you
Yeah,
know?
that-
Can you imagine?
We gotta find the video.
He gave
Bizarre.
up a grand slam. He gives up a grand slam and then takes out a bird. Like, I don't
And
care
then
about that
kills a
grand
bird.
slam anymore. Yeah, but like, you just
Yeah.
Randy Johnson to bird. Like,
I don't know if you
nobody
should play
else.
the lottery or like not leave his house.
Yeah, right?
well, it was during the fifth inning. So if you have, because I didn't want to pay for it, but if you have Game Changer, it was
I just
the
bought it
fifth.
to watch videos
Oh.
of my
So-
umpire. I might be able to
There you go,
the team.
fifth-
Send me the team. Oh, it's 11
Okay,
Middlesex Reds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was
find it.
So top of the fifth inning, second game. So we're on like
Alright.
12ish,
If I find
12:30.
this, it's gonna be awesome.
It's
I guarantee you, you'll never see that again. Guarantee you.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
never thought I would see it ever.
I didn't think an 11U would throw hard enough to kill a bird. I mean, Randy Johnson obviously was throwing 90,
Yeah.
whatever.
I'm still in disbelief. I've probably told the
Unreal.
story
Yeah.
20 times today, and I'm
Unreal.
still
Well,
in
also
disbelief.
that bird.
I mean,
blew up
that bird,
into
yeah.
pieces. I doubt that
Yeah.
happened here.
He was
but-
throwing it
That did not
95
happen
miles
here.
an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If-
no, that bird was obliterated. This bird just was
yeah.
dead, thunk.
He almost would have been better off if he was obliterated.
I know. Okay,
But-
we're just gonna
Anyway,
hope that
anyway.
he went peacefully.
Pretty bird, pretty bird, pretty bird, pretty bird. That's so Dumb and Dumber. That's perfect.
Guys,
Perfect.
wouldn't rather spend my Sunday night with anybody
That's right.
else. So
Yep.
Absolutely.
Love it. All right, guys. Same time, same place next week. We will see
Peace
you
out.
then. Peace out. Good night, guys.
Later.